Hello everyone. Today with the Open Hearth, we are playing Stewpot by Takuma Okada, um, a Firebrands game about fantasy adventurers who settle down to run a tavern, as all great adventurers do, as we know. Um, my name is Dana. My pronouns are he, him. I'm kind of facilitating the game, although it's a GM-less or GM full game. Let's get intros from the rest of our players before we dive into tavern and adventurer creation. Actually, let's go character keeper in reverse, given that I am in the right hand side.
All right. She, her, excited to roleplay the fantasy world of food service.
To be in any pronouns. And when I first heard of that game, I thought that is such a great way to bring back an old beloved character. And I am not very nostalgic for my old beloved characters, even though I probably do a new one.
I'm Mark, he and them, and yeah, I'm just a fan of the Firebrands format in general, and this is a charming little game, so love it.
Okay, awesome. Um, so yeah, I think we begin with our tavern. Um, Our tavern and the area around it are the cornerstones of our game. Our adventurers will be living and working there, and they'll take time off and join festivals and other events in town. We're going to work together to create a place we're excited to play in. So you'll see um, if someone feels like an image after we generate the details, you feel free to. We're going to all add a detail to the location. So that could be like what the city is like, what the neighborhood is like, what the general environment the city is in is like. There are some examples here like canals instead of streets, connected tree houses, floating in the water or air, or like deserts littered with enormous bones. So, it's a vibrant fantasy world. So whatever floats your boat. Um, uh, but I guess we want to decide first as a group the size and scale of the town or city, so that we're going kind of all on the same page initially. Anyone have any preferences or thoughts along those lines first?
Kind of like a smallish city size, like not overwhelming metropolis, but enough that there's a variety of people and stuff coming in. But
Yeah,
it's
maybe a city either in on the rise or in decline. Either of these, not nothing too static.
yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, T?
Yeah, I like that. A little bit more cosmopolitan, a variety of clientele.
Yeah. Uh, Maybe we can have an idea that it's either in decline or on the rise. We can figure that out later on, but I do like the idea of it being in flux, you know. Okay. So yeah, so let's add some details about the location um, before we decide on the look of our tavern. Um, I guess let's go character keeper order, and then for the look we can go in reverse. So, Mark, do you want to start out by adding a detail about the location?
Yeah, I think the city is very green. I think it is, if not in a forest, like there are lots of large old trees of various kinds throughout the city.
It's my turn, right? I think we that there are tunnels beneath the city, whether they're sewers or they're old ruined tunnels. We'll find out. But I like tunnels or caves, like this one. Caves.
Okay, yeah, tunnels. Tunnels, good.
Yeah, I think one of the things that grows particularly well here, can bring in some fantasy vibes, is like an sort of an air bladder that is lighter than air. And so they're sort of like floating around, bumping into things. I think some of them are big enough to be useful.
Okay, Okay, yeah, nice. Um, I wonder if we have maybe not a like a cliffside, but one of these very steep river valleys, and there's these, rope bridges, or maybe some bridges helped float by these things. You just mentioned tea. So lots of rope bridges proper, and ways of getting across the valley. If you want to write in what you added in the section location, that would be great.
Also, I'm going to give them a name. I think the plant is called breezewort.
Okay, nice. Um, okay, and so then we move on to add some details about our tavern, not our cavern, our tavern. What does our tavern look like? Be as general or specific as you like. What interests you the most about a building? What draws your eye? Um, so there's a list of examples again: dark gray stone blocks, reclaimed materials, mossy walls, flowering vines, and so on. Um, I am going to take one from this list, which is boat. I don't know if that is like a um, on the river, or in dry dock, or even floating, or even
Hmm.
just going back and forth across the river. But yeah, I want a boat.
Oh yeah, I'm imagining like a really fancy dim sum place.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's what it looks like, but that's what brings to mind. Hmm.
I building off that. I think the idea of a boat kind of like that had run aground or like put in for repairs and just like never taken out, and like things were built around it in the trees. I think that's or maybe like trees have grown around it. It's been there so long. I think that's a fun
Okay, yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's halfway up the cliff because it
Yeah,
was once it flew. They say once it flew.
yeah, that's great.
Uh, right now, not so much.
Love it.
Yeah. I think what we also have is, for whatever reason, we have a lot of tapestries.
Hmm.
Maybe one of us, went through a dungeon filled with tapestries. Nobody wanted them, but they're kind of pretty once you clean them up. So there are lots of these rugs and wall hangings, just giving the whole thing a softer look, more more comfortable kind of.
So I think are those our four details of the look of the tavern? Okay, great. And probably the most difficult part of this is which is the name. Um, we're told not to spend too long on this one, and we can come back to it if we're stuck, and we can always change it. Rebranding seems less expensive in the fantasy taverning industry than it does elsewhere nowadays. And if we wanted to come up with a symbol or emblem that goes with it, that would be cool. So, with some examples here again: the Old Bell Tavern, the Rose Without Thorns, the Greasy Snifter, amongst others. Uh, what are we thinking? Does anything? Is this the name of the
Whatever the
boat,
yeah, yeah,
or
whatever the boat was called. I think just stuck.
yeah? Uh,
Fairwind.
Yeah, that's a good one since we're stuck.
Yeah,
yeah,
Also works for airboat or seaboat.
Yeah,
true. That's true. Love it.
sure,
yes,
yeah.
I can.
Okay, a fair wind it is. Uh, nice.
And the symbol is maybe just a flag or a piece of cloth waving in the wind.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
be a sail. Could be something else.
Okay. We don't have to, well, I'll say we don't have to worry about our scores, our the ratings for the taverns all start at 1. We don't get to add one to anything. We just start. Um, so that means in terms of cuisine, we have a cramped kitchen, plenty of staples, but nothing fancy. In terms of atmosphere, comfortable enough, but a little boring. Things feel slightly off. And service is a former farmhand, an injured local guard, I guess, not exactly great. Uh, we can add to these either through playing specific games or just over time. I think when we play 3 games in a row, we can upgrade one of these. Um, uh, sorry, after 3 games, we have an opportunity to play wear and tear, which is how we upgrade. Yeah, so that is our tavern.
Yes.
And then we move on to our characters. So our characters are the heart of the tavern. We keep the kitchen running, the fire's roaring, the bed's made, the table's clean. So we add a few things. Obviously, a name. We can add 3 details on top of a generic description of our look. So weapon, armor, and quirk. There's a table of examples in the book, but we all know what archetypical fantasy adventures look like. The other thing that we do, probably the most important thing, is we pick our adventurer job. So there's a drop down here for this. It is the usual staples: paladin, wizard, fighter, rogue, druid, bard, ranger, and swashbuckler. And if you look at the lookups tab on the character keeper, if you scroll over to the right, you'll see there's a list of 5. I think there's suggestions for experiences, but obviously, if you've got an idea for something else, you can do that too. So, for example, the paladin could choose one of the 3 adventures experience to be holy armor, divine protection, and so on. And we start with 3 of those. And over the course of time during the game, when we use them in a mini game, we cross them out, and then we add a town experience to our character sheet.
Cool.
But I guess we also choose a town job. And so these are very much more normal, mundane stuff like farmer, healer, chef, poet, merchant, and so on. Again, there's a drop down for those. So I guess before we rush off and pick something, do people have any thoughts of their adventurer job? I think that's probably where I'm inclined to start. It seems like a natural place to build out from.
Yeah, I got an idea for a bard, I guess. Once that, I'll play a morose bard. Yeah, I mean, adventuring.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, okay?
Cool. Mark, how about you? Any thoughts or preferences?
Not yet. I'll see what's left over. And
T, how about you?
I mean, we're on a boat, so probably one of us should be a swashbuckler.
Yeah, it would seem criminal not to have a swashbuckler on dry land, but that's so yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking it, but with our kind of jungly nature verdant city, I'm thinking maybe ranger or druid. Probably inclining towards ranger.
I just rolled some random stuff,
Okay.
some tables, and I think I'm gonna go with based on what I rolled. I think I'm gonna go with fighter.
Okay. Okay, cool. And so you can just, paste in the adventure experience from the lookup table into it. I did not get a chance to make this a nested lookup. Um,
Can I make something up?
absolutely.
Okay, I think I can do illusions because we don't have a wizard, so
Anyone mind if my ranger has an animal companion?
is it a kitty?
I mean, I'm not a food safety inspector.
That's a good point. Uh, bureaucrats, huh? Um,
And we pick a town job, but no town experiences yet, right?
that's right. Yeah. Um, we'll pick up a town experience in the first step minigame that we play, but right now it's just a town job. Um, looks like everyone is almost done. I'm laughing at double knit cardigan tee. So yeah, what are people thinking in terms of town jobs?
Has rolled. I'm going to take a look out. It seems appropriate. Someone else has their heart set on it.
I was kind of thinking chef, unless we think our ranger would be chef.
Yeah, chef. I hadn't been thinking. Well, sorry, it was on my short list. I was thinking like hunter or lookout to be completely um in my skill set, and then maybe something like chef to be a little bit out. But I'll let you be chef, and maybe I would go with hunter.
I think I'm going with crafter, actually. Kind of a break from this whole singing.
Okay. I need to name my animal friend. Um, I have to avoid calling the panther Steve. You know. Yeah. I'm gonna make it a panther. You know, so kind of a kitty. Called Azure. Okay, so I think that is all we do. Do we want to do a quick round of intros before we jump into our first game?
Sure.
Just in case we haven't spotted everything. Mark, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I am playing an unnamed person. I'll come up with a name. They are a fighter. They are tired, scarred, and dressed too warmly for the climate. They have a giant sword, all blunt edges and fierce, a warm coat, and their hair is cut short with a knife. My adventure experiences are master of arms, armed and dangerous with anything. Intimidation, make them do what you want. And legendary weapon, an artifact of immense power. That is my sword, Catastrophe. And I am the lookout in the town.
You're muted, Sweet. Still
I am.
muted? Oh,
I am still muted. Yeah, that's kind of fitting. I'm playing Melkor the Gray, who's a bard, and once he was, well, yeah, he used to be a bard. Okay, there are a lot of stories that have happened. He's not. They don't make good songs. Not everything is a good song. Maybe this place will be a better song. Melkor has devil's fingers and can play his instrument really well. but he doesn't usually much. And he has an alluring voice and can do illusions, which he occasionally does. Mostly morose or melancholy ones, really. It's not actually a party person. He is, however, a crafter, or is trying to be for now.
And I'll be playing Lucia the Blade, she, her. Deceptively sweet looking little old lady. She's got a cane that is a sword, and it whispers in its scabbard. She's wearing a double knit cardigan that conceals leather and chainmail. And has absolutely ramrod straight posture because in her former life she was a swashbuckler. She's a duelist, she's a master of the blade, skilled at climbing and acrobatic feats for being in the rigging, can balance on any surface with her sea legs. Well, maybe one of those skills she uses these days in her role as a chef.
Okay, fantastic. And I will be playing Maeve, she, her, who is the ranger, or was the ranger. Her weapon is a bow that hums for release. Her armor is well-tailored studded leather, and her eyes seem to be always watching. Her experiences are true north, giving her an unerring sense of direction, an animal companion, the aforementioned panther called Azure, and Deadeye with pinpoint accuracy, and is currently a hunter in town. Okay. So, the first game we play is First Steps. The first step, sorry. Um, so this is something we all play. The questions are, what were you doing before you decided to stay in this town? What was the first thing you learned about life after adventuring? So, um, everyone plays, every character gains 1 10 experience. Take turns describing a short scene that led to the experience. Other characters can be in your scene, but they won't gain the same experience. Um, so there's some examples here. A 10 person who helped you welcomes you back. They became your mentor of sorts, passing on their skills. Or you find a good spot in town to sit unobserved. Day by day, you learn what it's like to live here. So I'm going to pick that experience out of or town job, which again you can see in the lookups. I haven't added the little description, so it's just like the 2 or 3 word one. But if anyone wants me to read out theirs, they can ask me for sure. So yeah, does anyone have any good examples or good uh, initial thoughts on what they want to do with their character?
I mean, I do, I guess. Okay. So this is just a short scene, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think, well, it was a dark and stormy night, and it was a little wind that blew Melkor the Gray into this bustling, rising or falling town. He was stumbling, he was not very sure on his legs. He did not look like he cared where he was going. There was something haunted about him, something lost. He stumbled into the first, I think it was a stable. He was maybe looking for a horse or a donkey or something to take him somewhere. And what happened there was that there was a man who was working on a wheel for a cart. He was a jolly man. He was a joyful man. The ill wind did not faze him. That scarecrow of a figure did not scare him. He looked at him and said, "Hey, can you lift up this? Please help me here, okay? I need another hand." And there was a hesitation. like, what am I doing? Am I really doing this? Me? And then it was like, why not? Why the hell not? Can't get any worse. So yeah, and you can see how the two of them just repaired this little cart together. And Melkor was clearly out of his depth, very much so. But the old man, he didn't care. He just needed a couple of hands here.
Okay, great stuff. Um, you know what town experience you're gonna pick up based on that?
No, I don't. I will find one. I'm scrolling.
Okay. I can go next. I think Maeve is looking for Azure one day. Um, they've disappeared for longer than is usual. Um, and she decides to go look for him and finds him in this uh, ledge high above um, the city where it's a bit of a sun trap, and Azure has gone there to just bask in the glow of the sunlight. But there also are some stray cats, little house cats, and I think Maeve sees that they seem a little bit scrawny, a little bit hungry, and she starts bringing them, I don't know, bowls of milk or something like this. Maybe some jerky from the trail mix, and um, and then over the course of a week or two, kind of discovers all these other places where the local stray cats like to hang out, and yeah, figures out the kind of back ways, the secret passageways, or at least the relatively unknown passageways, so that maybe by the end of this fortnight or two, she knows the town better than most people who've lived there all their lives. Um, Yeah, so that is Secret Paths as the town experience.
I think I can go next. Lucia came into town. She had some money. Um, if you buy her a couple drinks, she'll start talking you off about a so-called mutiny and how she has no ship and is here. And I think she'd been staying at a local, like a hostelry. And she was in the market one day, just trying to kill time, right? And she stopped by a booth she hadn't seen before. That was a spice merchant's booth, and she started, perusing through wares, opening little pots, just nosing around. And As she was doing this, she opened a pot and took a sniff, and then immediately dropped it and backed away, reaching for her blade. And the Sort of a little crowd began to form as she accused the spice merchant of selling mislabeled plants, and that the spices in that pot were in fact poisonous if they were consumed by humans. Although I think birds really like them, right? Sort of like catnip for birds. And They got into a shouting match, and eventually she drew steel. At which point the watch quickly arrived and took things down several notches. But they did later discover that she had been right about these so-called spices, and the merchant was run out of town. Um, and I'm going to take parts unknown, knowledge of ingredients from all over.
Okay. You're muted, Mark.
I am muted. I think I'm going to start from my experience and go backwards. I think this is shortly after arriving in town. Um, kind of on the on the heels of whatever last uh, travel slash adventure I've been on, and probably looking to just kind of like find a place to stay, lay low, like just getting tired of this life, and wound up staying for a bit, and kind of similar, like finding himself one day, like up in one of the buildings built near one of the bridges in the trees in the valley, so you can get a good view of everything, and the river kind of winding down the valley, and traders and merchants and whatnot come through the river mostly, and so it's not an abnormal sight. But I think there's just kind of like hanging out and watching watching the town go by. Um, Something about one of the uh, boats coming in to port kind of catches my eye, um, and I think it's someone that's looking for me, um, and I think I just like get like head to the hills for a few days, so that whoever is looking for me is not a not going to find me, and b is not going to start trouble in town because of it. And because of that, I'm going to take eyes on the horizon, spot trouble before it starts. I think that is also partly why I'm staying in town, since they've already looked here. They won't come looking for me again, hopefully.
Okay. Great stuff. So I'm looking at the time. I'm wondering, could we squeeze in one mini game before we finish? How do we think?
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, I've got one in mind, which is not one of the recommended after the first steps one, I think, but I think it might work. Um, because it'll get us a chance to explore our tavern and the town itself. The game is A Familiar Face, whereby an old friend has come to visit. How do we show them around the town and the tavern, and everyone gets to play? So we all play. Our friend is someone we all know, but who exactly are they? A member of your party who went their own way, a steady rival, an ally from your most desperate battle. Um, what do you think?
Maybe that's a person who sold each of us stuff, or we sold stuff, like a tavern, like a shopkeeper, the magic shopkeeper we all traded with. And maybe he's now on vacation, or she,
Okay,
or
yeah.
they.
Yep.
Like I mean, shopkeeper, like a magical shopkeeper, right? Someone who
Yeah.
deals in enchanted goods. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, awesome. Do we think we have a name for them?
Lucian?
Lucian? Yeah, I like that.
Lucian.
So the game tells us to draw a map of the town, but I think we will not. Um, breaking the rules, such a rebel. So when we give the tour, each player character shows off a part of the tavern. What would your friend appreciate? What is your favorite part? What are you most proud of? When you've done with the tavern tour, head out into town, and we also introduce like a single location in town each as well. And we describe the path that brings us there. Um, so, um, what do we think? Does anyone want to show off something specific in the tavern first?
I'm kind of wondering because we said their name is Lucian, and my character's name is Lucia. What if it's her twin?
Mm.
Okay, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Ah,
did not. I didn't.
that's cool. I like that. And I think Lucia's showing off the knife collection she's been building in the kitchen. And, she's like, oh, and this one's folded steel, and this one's mithril. Although I do think I was sold a bill of goods, I think it is just plated. But it looks nice on the mantel. And she's going through and talking about each of them at great length.
Um, yeah, I think Maeve and I mean, Lucian is Lucia's twin, so is not and can't be as sprightly as she is. But I think we see Maeve like think, oh, I'd really like to show off the top of the mast because there's a great view from up there,
Hmm.
but maybe thinks twice. And says, let me show you the hold. It is exciting because we're still finding stuff there from the previous owners, and we see them like duck down into this dark, a little bit smelly bilge, right? There's boxes and barrels and bits and pieces everywhere, and there's like an old oil lamp hanging from a hook. Um, Maybe we see a little bit of light coming in from the floorboards above. Yeah, and I think maybe we look in the dark and we see these two yellow eyes stare out at the oil and a little bit of a snarl. And Maeve says, "Shh, back to sleep, yes, as you were." And um, and I think, yeah, like maybe Lucian spots something, in a burlap sack, and exclaims that, oh, this looks very interesting indeed, um, because it's something we didn't even realize was there, something maybe valuable to the right person, and Maeve just says, sure, take it, whatever.
I think I do show Lucian like the crow's nest. Like it's there's been a roof built over the main deck, and so this kind of like sticks out the top. So like go upstairs, and then onto the roof, and then there's a ladder up to the mast sticking out. And we kind of just like go out and appreciate the town, because we are up on the side of a hill, and so that's a really great vantage point. Just kind of like I like point out like, oh, that's where that's another tavern that was here before us, and here's where we buy spices. Over here is the barrel right or whatever, and just kind of like really enjoying, like pointing out the mundane aspects of the town. Like this is like that's the bench in the square over there where I sit and beat squirrels.
Yeah, once you're back inside, I think I should have my name somewhere. Melkor will step up and say, "Well, um, I don't know if this interests you, but look at this." And it's one of the tapestries. It looks a little faded. It looks a little gray. But Melkor has been trying to repair it. That is not an easy job because it's really threadbare, and he doesn't really know how to weave, but he's learning. So he says, "Well, I think this is the ancient tree that is a gate to the Horizon realms, and you can see here." Points at a little dot. "I think this is supposed to be the yeah, the Conqueror Smith, and she is climbing up the tree. And I mean, you probably know the story. It's grandiose, but this little person here, they don't look so grandiose. They don't look like a conqueror. And that is what interests me here, that maybe there is more or actually less to the story. More truth, less spectacle. And when Lucian starts surreptitiously checking if this thing is magic, right, you'll find it is not.
Okay, so that is each of us has done a little part of the tour of the tavern, and now we're going to explore the town a little bit. Um, so we have two elements here. We want to describe the path and then the location we end up with. Um, Again, does anyone have an idea of where to start?
I think it's just as simple as I think the path is going over one of the bridges that goes across the valley. It's a fairly long bridge because we're pretty high up, um, but it is pleasant. There's there is wind, but it is a gentle one going down the valley to like the sea is probably like you can probably like just see the line of it on the horizon. Um, but yeah, going over to the other side of the valley, which is probably more like maybe the side that we're on is like this is where shops and like guilds and stuff are, and the other side is like more where people's houses are. And I think like we go to the place I pointed out is like a little uh, square with a little fountain fed by a spring coming down the river. And that's where like I take him just to like sit down and like hang out and watch animals go by and say hi to folks walking around. Just like this is much better than what I'm used to, right?
Um,
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
no, you go, Sabine.
Okay. So I think Melkor shows Lucian to a unassuming cave like this one, and says, "Mind your head," but I promise, I think it's worth it. And they walk a little, and there's a little magical, maybe illusionary, who knows, light that glows, and when they take a turn or two, they come out in the cliff face, right, where you just look over the ravine, basically the valley, and but there are a lot that this is very porous sediment, and there are holes in it, and you can hear there's a bird's nest over there with little tiny baby birds, and they're chirping, and you can hear it in the cave and in um, the hallways is the wrong word. What's the word for a longish cave?
Like
Sorry, there's
a passageway or a
passageway. You can hear it through the passageways, a bit of a wind, and these little tiny baby birds making these cheep cheep noises. And yeah, and Melkor says, I have heard, I've heard glorious music, but none as true as this. And he's kind of, I don't know if Lucius is quite as enraptured, but yeah, Melkor is.
I think um, we're heading, through this part of the city that's kind of built into the the valley floor. It's a lot of stone, a lot of rock formations, and I think Maeve brings him around like a precipice, and there's like a rope uh, pinned into the side of the mountain, which we hold on to keep us safe. And we're doing this because the way is being blocked off by something. And we arrive at this amphitheater. It can hold a couple of hundred people. Again, built into the stone. and um, there's like a theater of players rehearsing. It's a closed rehearsal. Just the members of the company are there, but we have kind of snuck in to the nosebleeds, so to speak, to get a sneak preview.
And I think Lucian's probably staying with Lucia because they're family. And she takes him. I think she's right up at the top of the cliff in sort of the less desirable neighborhood because I think the wind does sort of get you up there more than it does in the canyon. And she takes them up by Breezewort, which of course is no problem for her. Excellent head for heights. I think Lucian is much less sanguine about it. Um, yeah, and she takes him out for pastries from the local bakery, and she's been trying, but gosh darn it, her pasties just aren't as good. And she sits outside her rented room, and they talk. And as people go by, she points them out and tells him of what she knows of them, who they are, their likes, their dislikes, their stories, their dramas, and in the end, they sort of like brush their gums away, and she's like, "It's almost like a crew in its way, a group of people all together, and now I'm one of them."
Okay, great stuff. Um, so we've completed our tour, and then the final phase of this mini game is see you again. Somehow it's already time for your friend to leave. How does your group send them off? And what are your plans for the next time you see each other? The optional rule, which I think we'll take, is that our friend gives each of us a keepsake. Keepsakes are items, trinkets, ephemera, or other physical reminders of the relationship between your characters. So whatever makes the most sense to you. So yeah, how do we send Lucian off? And do we make any plans?
And we're kind of setting them off as a group,
Yeah, I think so.
probably.
Does he have a wagon? Right, he's been here like I know we said he was on vacation, but surely he can't be simply on vacation. He's bought some stuff, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Um,
pack him off with some. We've we don't have great cuisine yet, but like we pack him off with whatever we can put
yeah,
together.
a
Yeah,
lunchbox,
yeah, some
a
snacks.
picnic basket.
Yeah.
We can give him one of our tapestries. We have so
Mm.
many. Or we can let him have a pick of our um, storage room, I guess.
Yeah. I think he'd already picked up a couple of things,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Or we can ask his sister what he would actually like for a send off.
I think practical things, right? Or things he can resell. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's not above. I guess it's not regifting if you straight up sell it, but
So I mean, after we send him off, do we think Lucia has kind of a more private farewell? I mean, I guess they must be close, right?
yeah, I think she, sees you off with the rest of them, kiss on each cheek. Don't forget to write. And yeah, if you see any of the cousins, let them know I'm doing well, and I have my own ship. Tell them that. That's what you say. She's called a fair wind. And I think he gives Lucia a sack of little wrapped gifts to hand out.
Do you have any idea for the keepsake for Lucia, or does anyone else have an idea? Or do you want to mull it over, and tell us what it is next week?
I I'm pretty sure Lucia's is a whetstone, but one that you'd use for a kitchen knife and not a sword.
I wonder if for Maeve it's something like a bound copy of maybe the play that was being rehearsed,
Mm.
like the full script, but also like maybe something inserted into it, like the original performance playbill or something like that, just as a bookmark, maybe unremarked on or unnoticed by her initially.
I think when Melkor opens his gift, he hesitates for a moment, maybe because it's like something string-like, and then for a second, maybe he thinks it's a harp string, but no, it's yarn. It's brilliantly colored yarn that he might use in the repairing the tapestry. And he gives a smile, which is rare. What happens?
I think he he leaves me a small cloth sack full of acorns, which I'm like, okay, great, that's nice. There's trees here, but whatever. But next time I take it out to like feed squirrels or whatever, I realize that they don't run out. It's just a ever flowing animal snack bag.
Nice. Yeah, so that's the mini game. We send Lucian off. Um, we've run a little bit over time, but let's stop the recording and do our debrief.